Nothing feels normal. We all can feel it right now that ever since mostly the events of 2020, nothing feels normal anymore. Everything feels like time is speeding up, and it's hard to really get pleasure or gratification from anything anymore. It's just like an endless cycle of doom and sadness. Why is that? Watch to the end of the video to find out why people are feeling this right now and why people are also beginning to wake up. Don't forget to follow so far on Rumble. Our Rumble will be linked to the description of the video. And also, don't let them tell you that you will own nothing and be happy. Go and check out Angry's Crypto Academy to learn how to buy, sell, trade crypto, make massive profit. It's linked in the description of the video. And now let's go ahead and jump right in. So, guys, we can all feel it. We 100% can all feel it. And there's a lot of people who are useful idiots. The moment that you say what you're feeling, they tell you that it's either in your head or it's because, you're getting old or a variety of other things when it's lies. It's complete and utter lies. Because for them to remain trapped and be comfortable trapped, for them to continue to survive mentally, they have to keep you trapped. They have to keep pulling you down. When I lived overseas, there was a saying. There was a saying that, you know, if you were to put a group of specific people into a hole, they would never get out of that hole. Because as soon as one tried to climb out of the hole, another would just pull them back in. And that's how society works today. As soon as you start saying, I just realized this, someone says, no, 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 no. You better not get out of that hole. And so they immediately start trying to gaslight you and call you crazy. You know what's interesting though? They often call you crazy, but they don't call you a liar. Because for them to remain in that hole and be happy in that hole, they can't let you leave that hole. Because if people start to leave that hole, then that begins to fracture their belief system. That creates fear because they're now comfortable in that hole. It's not wonderful in there, it's terrible in there, but they've become comfortable in there. They've become adapted to that hole, to that prison. But guess what? They can't be alone. They may say that they can, but they can't. They're way too afraid. So they have to keep you in that hole with them. And that's what's happening in society today. Most of us mentally are in a rut. And I was just like sitting back and saying, why is this? Why do we all feel like crap? Why are we all so tired all of the time? There's a variety of reasons. It's the food that we're eating. It's garbage. It's not, if you can call it food. It plays a role in it. But there's more to it. A major factor are the smartphones. Yes, the smartphones. These smartphones rule our lives now. People will say they don't, they do. You can no longer live in society without these devices for the most part. It's going to get to the point where you won't be allowed to, but they make it inconvenient for you, very inconvenient. I mean, for example, a lot of subways now, a lot of trolleys right now, if you want to travel, you have to have a phone. The pass basically is on your phone. You don't pay using a card anymore. You pay, like a card that you would swipe, or no, 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 no. Now you have to tap the phone to make the payment. If you want to travel using a taxi, what's replaced the taxi? The Lyft, the Uber. Before Lyft and Uber, People, I mean, like people don't think about this. I was born in the early '80s, so I grew up without cell phones. I grew up without all of this technology. And how did we live before these things? Well, if we wanted a taxi, for example, if we went to the mall and we wanted a taxi home, guess what? There were buses that would run to the mall. And all you had to do was learn which bus would take you where. And there were maps at the bus stops. So you can just look at the maps and observe, well, where do I live? I live over here. So what buses run over there? Well, this bus runs there. And if you didn't know something, you would ask someone or you would ask a bus driver. You actually had to use a little bit of critical thinking. But you did. We survived. And again, at the malls, if you wanted a taxi, there were usually taxis that were driving that were there were taxi stations. At popular locations, there were taxi stations. Before Lyft and Uber, there used to be taxis just driving around looking for people to pick up. They would have signs on the top that said taxi, and you would hail a taxi. You didn't need a phone to hail a taxi. You didn't have to call. You didn't need to call a taxi service to get a taxi. It was the option was there, but the fastest way was just to wait for a taxi to drive by or go to a hub, go to a place where taxis usually would be waiting to pick people up, and you would grab one there, and they were always there. Need a taxi? Did you go to the ER? You need a taxi? They're waiting outside the ER because they know that people are in the ER, so they're waiting for someone to come out. That's how they make their money. We don't even realize how much we've lost. What if you needed to, call your parents if you were at school and something happened? Well, by the time I think it was sometime in the '80s and early '90s, we had these little things called answering machines. So, and when we were growing up, our parents they taught us our phone numbers. We all had to memorize our phone numbers. All right. If I try hard enough, I can probably recall, or at least get somewhere close to remembering my very first phone number. How often today do so many young people, Gen Zers, and even I was guilty of it at one point, of just not learning your phone number because we change phone numbers so often these days, and we're guilty of not even knowing what our phone number is. Like, oh, what's your phone number? I have no idea. Let me look at my phone. And people will just like for example, you go to the doctor's office, or you go to something, and like the person is like, what's your phone number? And you're like, I have no idea. Let me look at my phone. And they just smirk. They just laugh. They don't even. It's not even a like, this guy. Check this guy out. No, it's literally they're smirking because like it makes them feel less weird. Because who the hell remembers numbers anymore? Like, remember back in the old days where if you wanted to, like, you would memorize your phone, you'd memorize your phone number, you'd memorize the phone number of your best friend. You'd remember there were a set of numbers that you would memorize because these numbers allowed you to contact people who you actually cared about, who actually cared about you. And, for numbers that you didn't memorize, you had a book, you had a contact book. How awesome was that? Like, oh, well, how do I access all the numbers that I don't memorize? You have a contact book. Okay? You have a book, a little book where you would keep your phone numbers that were important to you. And you just write them all down. Oh, this is this person's number, that person's number, so forth. It was so much more interesting back then, and conversations were so much cooler. Now nothing feels normal. We don't talk to each other anymore. Everything is done through text. People will literally feel angry at you for calling them. No one wants to talk on the phone anymore. It's something that the baby boomers still do, but culture, but for the rest of us, no, that's completely gone because we've been conditioned to socially distance ourselves, to keep up a screen, to only communicate through a screen. It's unbelievable. And this is why has this happened? It's about control. We're like, oh, time is passing very quickly. The reason why time is passing very quickly, why it feels like that, is not because we're getting older. If you look at the baby boomers, for them everything feels nice and chill. They've been enjoying every moment of their lives. Okay, they're the first generation to have to live to have longer lives than not only their parents but every generation that comes after them. They have longer, their life expectancy is significantly longer than Gen X, than the millennials, than Gen Z, than Gen Alpha, and undoubtedly Gen Beta, the generation that will come after Gen Alpha. They enjoy their lives. Us, on the other hand, it's just been a continuous amount of distraction, never ending distraction. I look at my own life and I realize college really did literally nothing for me than other than put me in enormous amounts of debt. And they are the fools who come to my comments and say how successful they are, or they'll try to argue about the benefits of college. They're morons. They're there to keep you locked in. I don't care about these people. I wish they would leave, unsubscribe, and go away, but they won't. They'll even tell me straight up that they're going to keep watching the videos regardless. They're going to watch as many of them as they want to, and there's nothing I can do about it. Why were you going to go somewhere where you're not wanted and you're going to watch content that you don't like? One, they have nowhere else to go. Misery loves company, and just like God is real, so is he. So is the devil, and they are doing his work, not the work of God, but of the evil one, of the wicked one. You see, within us, we have both God and Satan within us, evil and darkness. It's a choice, and these people who have been chosen to engage with the evil one, they're going to do his work. And his work is to disconnect you from your higher conscious, to disconnect you from realization, awareness. They want to keep you asleep. They want to keep you obedient because they love this reality. Everything is, guys, we live in a simulation. This is all one big simulation. It's no longer a question of if, okay? It's no longer a question of if. It's more so of how much. Like how much free choice do we actually have? How many, and the answer that many don't realize is surprisingly very few. We have way fewer choices than we actually realize. And it's done like that by design. It gives you the illusion of choice, although in many cases they don't even care about the illusion anymore. They don't need to give you an illusion when they have all of the power and there's nothing you can do about it. There's no illusion, it just becomes a normality. Is in a world pushing you to own nothing and be happy, crypto is your key to survival. Join Angry's Crypto Academy to master buying, selling, and trading crypto. Make huge profits and safeguard your wealth. Plus, discover the one crypto virtually no one is talking about, poised to create new millionaires in the upcoming bull run. The link is in the description of the video below. Go check it out now. Why are Gen Z are so miserable all the time? It's simple. They're so miserable all the time because they were the first generation to become fully enveloped with social media, specifically things like shorts, TikTok. They're the TikTok generation. And I realized something. I was laying in bed and I realized, holy cow, all of these videos that I'm watching, all of the scrolling, they're giving me hits and hits, constant hits of dopamine. But why am I even watching these videos? What am I gaining from it? Well, it's dopamine. It's dopamine. It's nothing more than that. Why am I watching these videos of of these ladies dancing? Like you're scrolling and like, oh, there's this dancing girl, she's dancing. Okay, cool. She just danced. Like in the YouTube Shorts. What's it doing for me? Literally nothing. But it's a dopamine hit. And you keep on scrolling, and it's another dopamine hit, and another dopamine hit, and it's like the brain is trained to consume information in small gaps, in small bursts, and that's what's happening to us. The goal is to keep us endlessly engaged, but the thing is that the more that this happens, the more difficult it is to derive pleasure from anything because now you're burnt out. Your dopamine is burnt out. Our brains are becoming burnt out because of constant hits of dopamine. And now we're stuck in an endless loop, in an endless cycle where we can't enjoy anything at all. We can't sit down. We can't enjoy playing a game for a long period of time because we are wired to go back to social media and to re-engage so that we can keep on getting those hits, because we need continuous change. We no longer have an attention span. We can't focus on anything for any long period of time. We have to basically have constant change, constant change, constant change. Even with videos that we watch, the angles have to change constantly, constantly, constantly. Many of you don't know this about YouTube clips or the way the videos that you're watching, but some of the most successful videos are the ones where they're constantly changing angles. Like Mr. Beast videos, he's constantly changing angles, constantly changing angles, changing angles. And the reason why that's being done is to engage you and keep you engaged so that you want to see what comes next. One of the reasons why nothing feels normal anymore is because we're constantly being bombarded with information, with visual stimulation, with noise, and a bunch of other things. We no longer live, we simply exist. And it's hard to hear it. The days are going by really, really quickly because our awareness has been sucked away from us. Our awareness has been seeped away. It's been taken away from us. We're constantly distracted. So if we're constantly distracted, of course, we're not paying attention to what's happening around us. We're not really creating new memories, guys. We're observing the experiences and of others. We're not paying, guys. We're not engaged in living. We're not living anymore. We're simply existing. We're not creating new experiences anymore. We're just existing, watching endless amounts of videos, reading, going through endless post tweets on X. I mean, it's just, that's not living. You're not creating new memories. You're living, in many ways, you're living the experiences of you're observing the experiences of others, but you're not creating your own. And you're allowing others to shape how you think and how you feel. You're paying others for validation. It's crazy. It's crazy. It's crazy. It's crazy. It's those are just some of the reasons why nothing feels normal anymore. You might say, well, what can I do about this? What can I do to address this? I'll tell you what you can do. It's hard. It's going to be hard because when I woke up and I said to myself, you know what? Let me not go on the phone because that's what we all do. We wake up and we immediately reach for our phones and go on social media, go on TikTok, go on X, go on go on YouTube. Okay, go on any of these and go on Instagram. Start looking at their Instagram reels. All right, some maybe even go on Facebook. Whoever still uses Facebook, right? And you become trapped and he's like, oh well, I'm just consuming some information. I have to be aware of what's going on in the world. Social media is our version of CNN. Just like how the baby boomers won't stop watching CNN, they won't stop watching the news. It's basically junk food. Fox is no better. It's all junk food. Social media is our version of CNN. It keeps us endlessly engaged and trapped. And it just keeps going and going and going and going. And how do you put an end to it? You set boundaries. You stop watching these shorts endlessly. Okay? You ask yourself, what do I have to gain? Don't even look at listen to me. You have to control yourself. Oh, don't even look at the images because the images, the thumbnails and all, it's all designed to basically give you make you curious, and you're like, okay, I'm gonna look at, I want to see this. You have to have some self-control. And let me tell you this, most of you that are listening right now, you're not going to listen to me. You're just going to go to the next video and just keep on scrolling. But for those of you that are tired of it, those of you that want an out, those of you that actually want to feel better, you have to set boundaries, you have to set limits. You have to say no. You have to say, I'm not going to watch that next video. It doesn't provide any real value. If it provides no real value to me, I'm not watching it. You're going to say, well, angry. Well, what about you? Well, think about it. I'm putting out over, like, this video. How long is this video? This video is over 20 minutes long. I'm actually giving you real information. It's not just a quick dopamine hit, is it? Right? You're having a real experience here versus just these endless short videos where it's just one after another after another after another, because you're not actually engaged. You're engaged listening to me. Am I telling you to sit around? And I'll tell you something crazy. A bunch of people, like years ago, I told people don't sit around just listening to these videos all day long. And they got so pissed off with me because this is their happiness. It's their pleasure. Listen, if that's you, do you, bro. Live your life. But understand you're not really living. You have to set limits. You have to have time for yourself. You have to basically spend time with your higher conscious self. How do you connect with your higher conscious self? You know, it's not about sitting there and endlessly reading the Bible and consuming the Bible, because that's just wiring your perception. No, to really find God, you have to actually spend time alone. You have to spend time alone with yourself. And once you're able to connect with yourself, you're able to connect with your higher conscious self. Now, of course, there's also, the low vibration thing, because there's both good and evil in us. There's both light and darkness. And it's very easy for the darkness to engulf us. But the thing is, for us to find the light, we have to pass through the dark. There's just no way. You can't go to the light without first going through the dark. You can't see the light unless you see the dark. You can't know the difference between light and dark unless you know what darkness is, unless you've experienced this, unless you've seen it. So you have to learn how to become comfortable with it. It's not so much as avoiding it, it's a choice. Nothing feels normal because the reality is that none of this is normal. The way we live is not normal. The food that we eat is not normal. The way we communicate is not normal. None of this is normal. They want you to believe that it's normal. Normies, the bots, they want you to believe that it's normal. They're going to come, and some of them, they'll come to the video and say, well, I agree with one of these things that you said, but I don't agree with this. Because what they're trying to do is they're basically trying to say, well, if I can't get you by just using outright negativity, I'll agree with some of it. And I'm not saying you have to agree with everything I say, but this is how they get you. They'll say, I agree with this, but I don't agree with this. Can we agree that this point, that what you just said here, doesn't really apply? No, 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 bro, that's your opinion. All right, I respect your right to say you disagree with me. All right, but I don't have to agree with you. Okay, and they can't live with that because they want you in that box. They want to keep you in that cage. They don't want you to be free. Okay, because it doesn't make them feel safe. The goal is to keep everyone locked in there with them. You see, like the story I told you earlier, of all those people in the hole, they don't want you to get out of that hole, because the honest to goodness truth is not just that they're envious of you, but they also don't want to be alone, because no one wants to be in a hole all alone. But if you're in a hole with a bunch of others, well, now you're all suffering together. None of this is normal, guys. None of it feels nothing feels normal, because it's not. Let me know your thoughts. We'll talk about it in the comments. Like the video if you like it. Don't forget to subscribe. And if you like the video, share the video. And just remember that all roads lead to MWA, men walking away, and cheers.
Nothing says you care like crypto. Nothing can compare. Nothing says you care like crypto. Oh, nothing can compare to crypto.